Let's officially get started. Welcome, everyone. Whether you're catching us live or on the replay, we value your time and attention. This is such a special event. We got Nicolette here and
Gabby, how you guys doing today?
awesome.
So, di-
So we are Decode Disrupt, where insight meets interruption. What does that mean to us, Gabby?
so where insight means interruption is you have Nicolette here, who is our visionary, and then you have myself, who is sort of the strategic architect. And together, what she does is she decodes what's happening to you, and then I come in and disrupt it in real time to maybe identify where you're stuck, so you can continue evolving into who you're becoming.
Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. And with that note, today's first episode is about what if you're not actually stuck? And that one kind of can hurt because we might feel stuck because of outside circumstances, life, we all have something. But what if we're not actually stuck and instead we're just loyal to who we used to be? And this is huge in the quantum physics game, right? They talk about rehearsing who you want to be, or if you're in flow state as an athlete, you got to play like you're going to win. You got to play like you're the best, and you got to do the end result now. Does that make sense
Yeah.
to you, Gabby?
No, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have to visualize it. You have to visualize it in order. And, we talk about, in the spiritual community, they talk about manifestation, but all it is self-belief. What the mind can conceive, the human can. What the mind can conceive, the human can accomplish. Right.
Yes,
So if you believe you're the best, you're gonna go out there and perform like you're the best. It's not magic.
not magic. And
Yeah.
if you don't believe it, it's there's no chance it's going to happen. It's that simple.
None.
None. But
Yes.
if you have like one iota of faith, then you're open and then you start acting differently and thinking differently and doing differently and talking differently. So
Absolutely.
we're here to call ourselves out and you out so that you could be your best, because if we stay stuck or small, right, that doesn't serve anyone. So this is important to me because I'm still in the process of this. I've had to grieve so many identities that once kept me safe, that once served me. I needed to survive that arena or that scene of my life, that chapter of my life. And so I want to honor that those parts of me. So why is this important to you, Gabby?
Oh man. So my story's a little different, I still can't speak too much on it because it's still going through a process. But basically, if you guys don't know, I went through like what is commonly known as a smear campaign. That's when someone tries to assassinate your character based on envy. It could be a plethora of reasons. Envy, jealousy, but for me it was because I wouldn't play ball. I wouldn't go along and I stuck to my morals. That's what happened to me. But luckily, my situation was different. I have a happy ending.
Okay.
Um, I have a happy ending to my story. But yeah, so that's my identity interruption, and it made me look at all facets of my life differently. Like, well, you know, because once you're going through that and you're self-reflecting, right? I'm like, well, this isn't really what I want to do. I'm kind of just really, really good at it, right? But is this really my passion? And if I'm not passionate about it, but it's bringing me all this turmoil, why am I going to continue to do it when I can just live in my truth? You know?
Her.
So
Could I
yeah.
just thank you for sharing that?
Oh
And
yeah,
I'll
yeah,
take a minute to say hello to the folks in the live chat. Hi, Keda. Is it if I'm pronouncing that correctly?
yeah.
And Dido?
And ditto. Yeah,
Dido?
ditto.
Okay,
Yeah.
Ditto. Awesome. Thank you for being here. And the next phase of the podcast is this is where we decode. And that just means where do we look at blind spots or places that, we have a thought or a belief in place. Yeah, I have ADHD. And then
Ditto.
you
I'm sorry,
go and
ditto.
act like I'm going to do 1,000 things and not make the coffee I offered you 4 hours ago. And we go, it's cute. And in my personal life, it's like I was on a date and this chick's like, if I cut you off, it's just because I have ADD. And I'm like, I'm grateful you named it, but where's the
Yeah.
change? Because I don't like to be talked
Exactly.
at being high masking autistic. I want to be spoken with. And that was really
Exactly.
hard for me on the date. I was like, oh, I wanted this to go somewhere. And she's just like talking at me and she named it. So if I don't want any of our discussion to be triggering because we're all doing the best we can. But this is where you're
Absolutely.
like, your squad, we all want to elevate and we're going to tell you or you can do better. And you get to do with that information what you want, right?
Mhm.
Free will.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Whew, I
So
got a little emotional sharing that tidbit because that one.
no, no, I mean, I think that's a great example to give because that's something the majority of the people can identify with. We've all dealt with someone who constantly interrupted us. And just because they can name the pattern, don't, like you said, doesn't mean they have to stick with the behavior, you know?
Yeah, and I really want to
Yeah.
rename that as we are who we are. We're doing the best we can. And where is it keeping us small? So imagine
Absolutely.
she lost us going deeper because she literally drained me. So that's a choice we made is I for me to protect myself, I didn't want to hang out with her anymore because I was just literally just sitting there listening to her for hours. And I'm like,
Yeah.
hello.
No, absolutely.
So moving on from that, this is a gentle journey into helping people bring these unconscious patterns to life.
Yes.
So I actually gently said back to this person, I go, I'm glad you named it, but what would be helpful for me is if we talk together. And she softened. So I spoke up for myself and I chose to do something different to disrupt my patterns.
Absolutely.
So
And
it's about
sometimes that's the way you have to do it.
healing, right?
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
So I want to ask the audience, and you can type it in the chat because we want to be mindful of our time. Which of these like light you up and you want us to go a little bit deeper into? So these are self concepts built for survival, like people pleasing. Okay.
Mhm.
Identity attachment. It's like I am queer. I am Filipina. I am an athlete. Like, we all want to be seen and
Mhm.
recognized. So we usually over identify. Like I go to this college, right? I am my job. So that's another thing we could talk about. Spiritual avoidance disguised as alignment. Oh, I'm just, this is just, I'm at the right place at the right time. I'm doing everything right. It's just, this is what it is. Yes, and. And then nostalgias for versions of us that kept us safe.
Mhm.
If you're on this planet for like almost 50 years, there's hella versions of me.
Absolutely.
And I can be like,
Absolutely.
miss that, my college age where I was just this bitch who didn't give a fuck and I just got what I needed. I was hella scrappy.
Yeah.
Right? So again, those in the chat, I wanna ask you if any of these light you up. A few more are over identification with wounds, right? Like your trauma becomes your identity.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
even your role label or form of success.
Mm-hmm. That
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
a lot of us on this call are creatives trying to make some money.
Absolutely. We're all
Hello.
creative. Yeah,
And
we're all artists and creatives here. Yeah.
oh, so how do you put your business down when you're just constantly trying to optimize and monetize? Like you can't rest from your vision and dreams sometimes.
Yeah.
So,
So yeah. Oh, I thought you were asking me that. I'm so sorry.
no, if you want to roll with it, let's go because I'm just giving everyone like examples. And if someone goes,
Marlena said she can't pick one. Um
okay.
okay,
Ooh,
so I think we should for today's episode, we should just go with this is just who I am as unconscious protection because that's the example you started with.
okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any insight on that?
Oh, yes, this is just who I am. I do actually. And I think that concept, right? Holding that concept and making the decision to let that concept go comes with maturity, emotional maturity and wisdom, right? And then there are other factors too, like society and the fact that that everyone now is entitled. Everyone feels entitled, you know, everyone's been validated their whole lives, so they think they're the best and they're special and the attachment to labels that may have been assigned to them from therapists and so there's that a lot of people don't have that desire or feel like they need to change. They've especially when you introduce something like therapy talk and the power of social media influence, right?
Mm.
People feel as though they're doing either what they were labeled as or what society has normalized. So we tend to not self-reflect and really think about how this is just who I am, affects those around us, right? And you see that a lot. I've unfriended people because I don't like their character. I think the 90% of the people I choose to unassociate with is because of character, and the lack of self-awareness.
Mhm. I heard so
Yeah.
much in there. It's like entitlement. So we get these, I can't speak for everyone's experience, right? But when you talk about people who have entitlement, they had maybe, legacy wealth or just support going to college, parents in the home, no food insecurity, no trauma, like, you know what I mean? To a
Yeah.
degree. So
Yeah.
then they get
Yeah.
these, like, okay, it's almost like, shall I say, privilege. And unfortunately, if
Mhm.
you have it, you don't see it.
Absolutely.
But because you have other shit you're dealing with, which is humanity, right? This is where we're
Mhm.
all in, everyone's got shit. But when you walk this earth as a certain person or a certain body with certain privileges,
Mhm.
so this is really juicy. And self-awareness, do you think there's like a causation or correlation? Like, who cares about self-awareness and who doesn't?
I think it's a natural thing. I don't well, I take that back. So, the last statistic I read on this, and it was 2 years ago, so don't quote me lightly, but I think what therapy was saying, what was coming out of psychology at that time is that, only 20% of the world's population is actually self-aware, and I
20%.
think only 20% is, like, truly self-aware, and I think that's kinda true when you think about it from a perspective of emotional intelligence, introspection. You can kinda see the people that do and don't do that, and it does seem to be that most people don't introspect,
Yes.
you know, or
20.
really sit with themselves. Yeah, 20%, I think, and so I would have to look up what the new stats were. This was, like, literally, like, 2, 3 years ago, the last time I looked it up.
Mm,
But yeah.
okay. So here's another question. I feel when life hands your ass to you through something, that's usually when we learn, we get humbled, right?
Exactly.
That is
Yep.
where you get to, your like grief can do it, loss,
Mhm.
right? You're just
Yep.
like shocked to your core. Your
Yeah.
literal organism or system is confused, it's disoriented.
Mhm.
It feels betrayed,
Absolutely.
right? Like a breakup,
Yeah.
like people are losing their jobs right now. So talk about identity shifts. Who has the time or the desire to do self-awareness work?
Absolutely.
That is
So
the
most
thing.
people yeah, most people don't do it until they're forced to, you
Forced
know?
to. Okay. Go
Yeah,
on.
forced. Yeah, that's true. But even when you're forced to, a lot of people still play victim. There have been people who's obviously been in predicaments where they should be self-reflecting, right? And they're not. They just assume, then they adopt the victim role.
Yes.
So now it's a choice. Do you introspect? Do you take accountability? Do you become self-aware or do you continue to play victim?
That might be a question that may never get answered in our lifetime because the
You're
audience.
breaking up right now, kind of, sort of.
Okay. I was just saying we might not get an answer in our lifetime. I pray that most
Yeah.
people choose to work. It doesn't have to be some grand thing. It could just be like, oh, how did my actions affect others today? Like, I don't want to go down that road. I want to go
Hmm.
back to a point where, shit, I lost it. I lost it. It was so juicy. What were you talking about just a second ago?
About uh, self-reflection. I said people are forced to most people don't self-reflect or introspect until they're forced to, but even then you still have a lot of them that go into that and come back with the victim mindset. They still hold on to the fact that they were victims, so there's no true introspection going on. That's what I was saying. Yeah.
I want to say this. I feel who pays the cost for that? People that do the self-awareness work. This is usually
Yep.
your empathic people, your sensitive people, your
Yeah.
caregivers, your artists, your healers, your teachers, your
Yeah.
sensitive. And do they get paid in today's structure?
No.
No.
And but see, I think, and when you look at it, right? When you look at the people who were obviously empathic and had some form of emotional maturity, and intuitive. So there's two people that I constantly go back to, right? Um, I want to be more like Marcus Aurelius, right? I really want to be Marcus Aurelius, where he's self-reflected and he's still projected and went out there, but his he had that he was the emperor, so he was already in a position of power, so that he couldn't be tested, right? So then you look at the people like Steve Jobs and Andy Warhol, who were obviously, with the innovation and artistic accomplishments that they had, there's no way that they lacked empathy or intuition. They were, but they chose to play the asshole. So, as
Oh,
empathic people and as self-aware people, we have to. I mean, it's unfortunate, but we have to choose to play the asshole. And that's part of why I did what I did, right? There was so many other reasons, right? I'm talking about the smear campaign thing. There's so many other reasons, but it was to show people like I'm not an asshole. I'm actually extremely emotionally intelligent, but in order to survive in this world, I have to project being an asshole.
I love that you brought that up.
Because
Yeah.
you don't you think you can walk all over me and I'm watching everything that's going on, but I have a point to prove. I have a point to prove. So now I can go back to being an asshole and no one can say anything. I'm very self-aware, it's been proven. I'm extremely empathetic, it's been proven. Um, but now that because I've always studied these people, I'm like, there's no way Andy Warhol wasn't empathetic or Steve Jobs, like, or intuitive. They were two great innovators and artistic because those are prerequisites for true art, true artists, right? And so they chose to be an asshole. And because in order to adapt, you have to choose. We have to be an asshole, you know?
So many things pinging off in my mind.
Yeah,
How much time do we
yeah.
have? Okay, it's
Oh
almost
yeah,
like
we
I know.
got 45 minutes still. Yeah,
Like, okay, it's like the politician who's really for the people, but once they get into office, oh, I have to play the game.
yeah,
Right? So
yep,
it's like we keep
yep,
fucking amplifying the same shit. I want to make it, but I have the people in mind, like
yeah,
not, and then you just get like you lose your heart sometimes. We harden. We have to project the
yeah,
asshole to be taken seriously. So we're all walking
absolutely.
armored and hardened when all inside
Yeah,
our inner child is just like, I want to play and like relax and
yeah.
like, and
Hmm.
that's where creativity and genius comes from actually, is when you're relaxed
Absolutely.
and in flow. So we're all
Exactly.
running around like with our reptilian brain, like, oh, I gotta hoard shit, my root chakra's
Yeah,
all off, right? Oh,
yeah.
and then honestly, we're just fear, that's scarcity.
That's it. That's what it is. But see, I think there's something. So you need two different states, right? So you can be your relaxed state when you're creating, but the forward facing that the world sees is the asshole. So you kind of take a hit on the character aspect, which is ultimately what they chose to do, right?
Okay, I'm gonna go back to this. At
Yeah.
what cost? We have unhappy workplace
Greatness.
situations, right?
Yeah.
Fuck greatness. At what cost? Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
relationships that are imbalanced when
Yeah.
we come in, like, I'm gonna be the asshole and play hard to get. Like, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
in
Mhm.
integrity and in character. Those are my favorite
Yeah.
words. When you
Yeah.
operate from an integrity and character and there's no lack ruling you and no ruling
Mhm.
over and no, I need to
Yeah.
dominate,
Yeah.
so that's why people who do the inner work, and that's why these questions are like, if everyone sat with themselves and just realized this shit, we wouldn't bump up against each other so hard. I don't know.
Mhm.
We'd find out we
Yeah.
actually are like the same more than we're different. And if we know there's enough on this planet, we can relax a little bit. It comes back to that anyway.
Yep.
Okay. I want to touch note because it was important to people that we talked about. What was that? Yes. How do you keep your vision alive without burning out when you're an entrepreneur, creative, and all the things, and you even have a
Yeah.
day job? Maybe you have kids and
Absolutely.
a relationship on top of that. Holy shit.
Uh, Kita gave a great explanation from her point
Okay,
of view. If you
go
want to
ahead.
go back, so she said for her it's balance, is learning how to honor the vision without abandoning yourself in the process. I put my vision down by getting quiet enough to hear what is truly aligned with my spirit, not just what looks impressive to the world. Then I build around sustainability, not survival. I think that's the perfect answer. I'm going to steal that for a future episode. I'll
Same.
credit you though. No, I'm just joking.
Next
No,
too.
I think that's the perfect answer. I love that answer.
Yes, self-abandonment was a term I finally got on board with this last year because, being parentified at 5 years old, meaning I became a parent, raised my
Oh,
brother,
absolutely.
laundry, dishes, walking to school in the dark by myself. Like, I wasn't a kid, you know?
Yeah.
So then you grow
Yeah.
up in the world just like fucking hyper vigilant all the time. Anyway,
Yep.
so not abandoning yourself because of fear of, am I gonna have a roof over my head? Like, anyway, I just want to give shout
Yeah.
outs to people who have to survive and have identities that needed to survive to get to a place where you're like, no, I know me. I'm gonna get quiet.
Yep.
Yeah, if
No,
we
absolutely.
more of that. Thank you so much for sharing. I really appreciate that. Okay, we're gonna go into let's see, Gabby's arena of expertise, which is the disrupt. Because
Yes.
we don't want to just be another podcast where we talk about shit. Because it's all about we can talk. That's the first stage, but we got to embody it. So my work is I see your bullshit. I'm gonna call you out. I'm gonna support you through it because you need to do the change, and the change is where it's not fun. But you
Yeah,
can't get to
absolutely.
the other side of your best self unless you do the work and embody these changes, like move through the world and get feedback from other people in your life trying to change. And that's usually where people go, oh shit, it's exhausting and I can't do it.
Yeah. No,
So
absolutely.
with that, I will give you the reins. Like, what do you want to talk about in this disrupt portion?
Also disruption. So we're specifically disrupting I'm just who I am, right? And like I think I touched on it a little bit, with the therapy talk. I think we're using the therapy talk as a crutch. It was great. I love one thing I love about Gen Z is they brought the issues to the forefront, right? They named patterns, identities, shortcomings, toxic behaviors. They gave names to something that wasn't previously named, and that's what I love them for, right? And it's not like they didn't have names. They had names, but therapy went mainstream. Gen Z took advantage of it and they came back with the therapy language. I love that. Now we're able to point out what happened in our childhood when we confront mom, dad, pastor at the church, my third grade English teacher. I have language for what they did. That was you were projecting onto me. You have narcissistic traits. We can name things, and that's great and wonderful. On the other side of that,
Waiting for it. Here it is.
on the other side of that, I feel as though we're now using therapy language as a crutch, you know, to not improve. And that's part of why this podcast exists, is because there's no one out there disrupting, right? Um, It's great. You named it, you identified it. Take some time to sit with that and process those emotions. But at some point, you have to make the decision to come out of it, right? And how do we do that? Um, we can't keep using healing language to avoid change,
Mm.
right? I think, and we can't keep romanticizing old versions of ourselves. That's what keeps people stuck. A lot of times in that victim mentality, you feel like you can't go forward. You feel like the grief and the loss was just that bad that you can't get up and restart. We've given this stigma as a society, given the stigma to having to start over. Um, and I don't know why or when it became stigmatized to start over. I love starting over. I think the greatest gift the army gave me was that I get to move every 2 or 3 years and start over. So the concept isn't foreign to me, right? It's not lost to me because my entire adult life I've been starting over every 2 or 3 years, right? New environment, new places, new friends, I'm starting over constantly. So me, it's an easier concept to grasp. But society as a whole, we fear this starting over. We fear losing people. We fear losing pieces of ourselves. We want to stay attached to people, places, and things that even though they no longer serve us, either they never served you or they no longer serve you. That you need it, you may have needed it for some part of your life, but if you want to expand and grow, the theme this month over at Calibrated Chaos is expansion. Chaos is expansion. There's an article coming out later today on expansion, specifically. But if you want to grow, you have to, move. You just
Mm.
move. That's the first step. Move.
Oh,
Decide. Decide. Well, the first step is to decide
okay.
what that next step looks like for you, and you don't have to have the entire picture. You don't have to have all the answers to take the first step. You just have to take the first step, you know? I
So
don't know,
much.
it's like trusting a path. It's like taking a path, like, I don't know where this path is going to lead me, but I'm gonna try this thing right here first, you know? And even in starting over, right? A lot of things, I'm gonna pack a lot of information in this. Maybe we can go back and do subsequent episodes with different pieces. Even when starting over, if you misstep, you're starting over. Okay, well, that didn't work. I'm still in the start over phase. Let me go another route. Just because you start over, you don't have to stick on that first start over path you took, right?
Mm.
You can pivot, you can turn, you can detour. Um, it's about experimenting. Also, don't rush. I have this article I wrote with I did a reimagining of the Phoenix story, a
Mhm.
three-part series, and the second article in that series was about actually spending time in the ashes. I love the story of the Phoenix, right? So the Phoenix, for those of you who don't know, the story of the Phoenix is about this bird, and this bird, every at the 500-year mark, it intentionally burns itself to grow new feathers, right? Well, in the burning process, when he first burns, it's ashes all around. So during that time in the ashes is when you take inventory. So
Mm.
I use ashes as to say the messy middle. The ashes, the ashes and the messy middle to me are the same thing, right? So now you're in the messy middle and everything around you has collapsed, or the perception of
Mhm.
collapse, right? Um, and that is the time to take inventory. Don't rush the rebuild. Those who rush the rebuild twice. You know,
Ooh! Is that a
you
you
have to.
original?
That's
Measure
in the
once,
original. It's,
cut
it's in
twice.
that. It's in that art. It's in that article. That's a
Damn,
quote from that article. That's
that's
a quote that a lot of people say. Oh, I love this line. I
that
love
is
this line.
fucking gold.
And that's the only reason I remember it, because I was in the flow state when I wrote it. I don't even remember writing that line. People kept pointing. Oh, I love this line. I was like, oh, thanks. um, yeah, but yeah. So now it's stuck to me. Yeah, those who rush to rebuild twice. That's why, even though it feels like you're gonna feel like a failure, you're gonna feel lost, you're gonna feel like you don't know where you are or where you're going, and you're gonna feel like everyone around you is judging you. You're gonna feel like um no one's there for you. But don't rush to rebuild. Take inventory. Everything that's happening while you're in the ashes is happening for a reason. Instead of rushing, take inventory. Notice who's authentically showing up for you and who isn't. You know, notice what parts of you come through. Like, what is calling you? What do you actually want to do?
Mhm.
Notice how you feel about your previous life, the things you liked about it, the things you didn't like about it. Take time and really try to plan. Okay, what is my next move? Where do I go from here? I'm not telling you take months and years to do this. It may take you days or weeks to do this, right? Before you get to the first step, but you have to take the first step. A lot of people fail and they never get back up, and they never go where they intend to go. That happens more often than those achieving their dreams.
Mm.
And that's because we've been taught that restarting is this horrible thing, right?
Yes.
Most people don't achieve their dreams because they're afraid to restart,
Hell yeah.
right? Um, oh, thanks, Dito. It was fun. Thank you for coming.
Can we just
Yeah.
thank you for all of that wisdom and
Oh, no, thank you.
for real.
Thanks.
And audience, okay, so in my experience with training in the spiritual world in school and everything, it's like it's a lot of fucking information, but what hit you the most today? What triggered you? What made
Yes.
you uncomfortable? This is called resonance if you don't know. Like we can't tell you what take whatever hit you today, sit with it, right? And then
Yeah.
define what that was. And then I love what Gabby said. So our offer to you is through this reckoning and through this recalibration, because we live in this world of too much information. What is one thing you can define or decide? Like what's not working in your life? Name it,
Hmm.
and maybe name a couple of patterns or stories that keep that alive, like my fear of money, my, just name it.
Absolutely.
And then you kept saying people don't want to take a chance. This is the whole thing where manifestation doesn't work when you want the net to be there. It's
Mhm.
invisible right now. Whatever you believe in, God source creator, you got to take that fucking
Mhm.
first step. Then the universe meets you because you're looking out at the past. If we want to go into quantum physics, everything in your field that you see now is the past. It's the
Mhm.
past. So you wake up every
Yep.
day thinking the same fucking 90,000 thoughts that you're on autopilot, then you're going to get the same shit and see the same shit every day. Nobody wants to own that.
Absolutely. Nope. No one
Everything
wants to own that.
in the world, evil, bad, money, no money, everything.
Mhm.
You can stay in your victim and your wallow, martyrdom. That served me for so much of my life until it didn't. And I
Absolutely.
go up in a week
Absolutely.
pay my bills. So I need to go do that. Like I need to figure this shit out. As painful as it's been. So decide, name your patterns, and then what's one step that you can do differently. And then if you get overwhelmed, reach out for support from us, from other people. I don't know. What do you have to say?
Yeah, we'd love to hear your ideas. Hear from you guys in the comments. What was your last question? You kind of went out on my end.
Yeah. My whole question is does anyone want to share what is their one next step that they're going to do differently? Maybe that's a big
Yes,
question.
definitely something to reflect on. I know my next step. Well, is move, but move to me is like decide what it looks like for you.
Mm.
So you've sat there. You know you can't stay stuck. The first thing is okay for me. Something simple. Develop a positive habit. Right? That's the first step. That's what move can look like for you. Oh, I'm going to start walking every morning when I wake up. Oh, I'm going to go to the gym every morning when I wake up. Oh, I'm going to read 10 to 15 pages of a book first thing in the morning. Move looks different for everybody. You decide what moves looks like, and the step doesn't have to be gigantic. It can be a baby step, right? It's just to it's just to hijack your mind to do something different, to encode different behaviors. That's the whole goal, right? Of
Yeah.
that first step. It doesn't have to be this grand thing, right? It's
Mhm.
just an identity hacking. That's basically what it is.
That's what
It's
we're doing right
identity.
here.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
identity hacking. And I want to add to, okay, so I trained with BJ Fogg, who's a Stanford PhD, who actually changed Amazon's website to make it so fucking easy to buy because he got into
Okay.
psychology. So he's all about how do you make a new habit? Because you can't change overnight. It gets overwhelming. You have to make
Mm-hmm.
small habits like, oh, I'm going to lose 50 pounds. I'm going to run a marathon. When you don't run, you're going to fail.
Mm-mm.
So to give you
Mm-hmm.
a concrete example, flossing. I don't like to floss. Okay, put the floss on the counter. Literally, he'll tell you to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Look at it, and then you have to rewire your brain by saying, I looked at the floss. That's success.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of all
Yep.
or nothing, I flossed my teeth today. Do you see that? So
Yep.
you didn't floss your teeth. You literally looked at the dental floss, and it's not enough in modern culture because we're used to big wins. So when you get
Mm-hmm.
serious about identity hacking and change, it's tiny thousands of steps of doing things differently, falling on your ass, going to bad
Mm-hmm.
habits and familiar practices and coming back to that awareness.
Absolutely.
It's a cycle. Like someone said, evolution. Evolution is not one and done. It is always evolving,
Always.
always.
Always. You're gonna evolve. If those who end up great never stop evolving. They're constantly evolving. Even when they've made it
Mm,
or reached their goal, they're constantly evolving. You
yes.
don't just get there and stay stagnant and think you're gonna keep that pace. No, every small step, every decision, every habit that you make to get there, it may get tweaked in some way, shape, or form, but you're gonna need those habits to recreate that success again. You
Yeah.
know,
So
um,
good.
not identically, but
Okay.
um,
Whew, we're at 35
yeah,
minutes and we kind of wanted to keep it in this sweet spot, right? Between like 35 and
yep,
45 minutes so that,
yep.
y'all can digest this and not get overwhelmed. So with these last few minutes, is there any, shares, revelations, confusion, like everything's welcome because we don't really have a blueprint when you're living your like design, like your unique genius,
Mhm.
your vision, you're different from the masses. You're not here to be like the rest, right? Ah, Go ahead, read that one for us, Gabby.
Okay. Okay. For me, movement. So Keita says, for me, movement started when I stopped waiting to become someone different before changing my life. I began dating myself, spending intentional time with myself, learning myself, listening to myself, and rebuilding the relationship I had with me. And I think that should be everyone's first, if not second step. You know, learning you, falling in love with you, being in relation with you. I had the same step she took. Um, First step, that was my first step.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's help. Look, I'm going to play an example. Like, I'm overwhelmed. I just want to date someone. I'm conditioned to think I need to find the one. I need to get married. So I don't know what dating myself looks like. What the fuck does that mean? How would that person start?
Oh, so dating yourself, I mean, that's an easy one. You know, you date yourself, you take yourself on date, you decide where the date is, you decide what that looks like, what are your interests. So for me, I base it off my interests, you know. Okay, so I'm coming off the heel of a smear campaign. I don't want to, go back to the people that believe the lies. So, okay, so my first thing was identifying, okay, so how do I make new friends? Okay, for me, I'm not condoning alcohol. I go to happy hour for the food. I started with happy hour. Happy hour to me is a great place to meet new people. Not only do you meet new people, you make connections and bonds with people, and then you get invites otherwhere. From happy hour, I've met movie friends, I've met golf buddies, um, I've met because I'm into fashion. Fashion friends, you just meet so many people and you get to go so many other places with that. So yeah, for me it was happy hour. So it's just identifying um what you perceive your desires to be. Like what do you want, you know?
Thank you for breaking that down.
And so that
Assume everyone knew what that meant, right?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's what dating myself looked like for me. For you it's gonna look different. For everyone it looks different because it's based on your desires and the things you want to do, the things you like as a person, you know.
Okay, so I'm seeing another pattern here. Again, it's like you want the outcome, you want the successful business, you want to be rich, you want to have the partner. You have to act like that person who has all that
Mhm.
now. Like,
Mhm.
how can you feel luxurious, abundant, and sexy or fulfilled?
Yes.
If you're lacking that shit, your vibration's putting it out there. You're not confident in yourself, which we can have a whole podcast on confidence, not external.
We will.
We
We
will,
will. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
a lot of it comes from insecurity, right? So I'm digressing. But yeah, dating yourself there can be a lot of shit that comes up, like shame, unworthiness. I'm not worthy
Mhm.
of time. I don't have time. So these are the identity, the stories and thoughts and beliefs that keep us stuck.
Absolutely. So Keita also said, true, for me, dating yourself is intentionally spending time nurturing, discovering, and pouring into yourself the way you should someone you deeply love. It's learning your needs, honoring your boundaries, romanticizing your life, and building self-trust through intentional care and presence. And I can't agree with that was a great summary. I'm
Wow.
gonna take all of Keita's stuff and I'm gonna put it
Man.
in an article and publish it like it's my own words.
Okay.
No, I'm joking. I'm joking. But no, this is great stuff. This is great stuff.
Kita, that is very beautifully like articulated and succinct and poignant and powerful. Yes. And we're
Yeah.
gonna have a podcast on boundaries, because when you grow up, with issues around boundaries, it feels like shit to
Yes.
enforce them. And on like people will go, you get all the things. You get hostility, you get
Yes.
ghosting, smear campaign, you get all the things when you start
You
asserting
do.
and not letting people live off your light and your power.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Um. Did you watch Project Runway? I've watched a couple episodes. So disclaimer: I don't watch a lot of TV. But I watched a couple episodes of Project Runway, not the entire season. That's great. Yeah, I love fashion too. I love fashion. Fashion is my thing.
Aw, Kita's so generous. They're like, please do post. We
Yeah, we will absolutely do a podcast on boundaries. There are so many topics
should have
we can
Kita as a
cover
guest
here.
for one of our future shows. That needs to happen.
Oh, absolutely. Oh yeah. Oh, you should follow her. I follow her already.
Okay. I'm like,
She
what
gives me my daily quotes. I get all my daily quotes from her.
topic? That's a fun one. Kita, like DM us and tell us what topic you want to, share even more on, and we'll create an episode for you.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Okay. Well, I feel like, if we look at the arc of the show, do you want to kind of summarize, like, what did we decode? What did we disrupt? And what are we recalibrating, or the reckoning? You want to?
Oh,
do a cute little.
yeah, so today we went with today's, first episode was kind of free flowing. We came in, and the idea was to get the audience, get you guys involved. And so we wanted you guys to sort of pick the topic, but no one could decide because all of them sounded good. So we just decided to go with the first one that Nicolette used as an example, which was this is just who I am as unconscious protection. So that's what the decode was. So the way we disrupted that was we pointed out all the ways that people stay stuck in that pattern, and also identified ways that people can cut sort of hijack that thought process and break out of it.
Mm,
And yeah, and so today's takeaway is to identify something within yourselves that you've been saying, I'm just this, I'm just anxious, I'm always late, I'm bad at relationships, I'm the responsible one, I'm chaotic, I'm too much. I did whatever that I am is for you, identify that and then ask yourself, what if that's an old identity and not your current truth, right? And then we're gonna hide so and then decide what you're going to replace that with. If that's something you truly want to overcome, decide what you're going to replace that with. So
oh,
that's kind of the reckoning or the recalibration piece is the question. And again, I'll repeat for you. So, so the first takeaway is to, describe yourself, whatever you perceive to be something you need to improve on or negative that I am that doesn't serve you and the identity of the person you want to become.
mm,
And then ask yourself, what if that's an old identity and not your current truth? Right? And then take action. What would you change? What would you change? You know?
thank you. Mm,
Yeah.
that was
So that's
beautiful.
today's recalibration. Yeah. And we're
Yeah.
gonna do these so today's an off episode too. Remember, this is Sundays.
Yeah.
So this will take place on Sundays and time to be determined.
Yep.
Um, we
Thanks,
had
fam.
to do a Tuesday episode today. Thank all of you that decided to show up today to our first episode.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah.
but
Because
yeah, this will be a weekly Sunday series.
we took a chance, right? This is how you do things differently. We
Absolutely.
have done some background meetings, but this is the first time we're flowing together. And there's anxiety, there's
Absolutely.
fear, there's tech fears, there's who's going to show up, are we going to mess up? So that is how I feel Gabby and I show up. We share our inner, I don't
Our
know,
energy.
blow up, just be like, amazing, I have a record deal and look at me now. Like, okay, but what about all the pain we went through? Like, that is so human.
Mhm. It is.
And I think
It
that's what
is.
like the collective needs right now is we need to stop perfectionist culture, hustle culture. Like you said with rebuilding and the phoenix, like nature has cycles. Like why do we rush?
Absolutely.
Because capitalism's like
Absolutely.
to be relevant, you need to be the best. You need output.
Yeah, I think capitalism is a contributing factor, but I don't think capitalism is the factor. I wouldn't blame capitalism as much as I would blame the hierarchical nature
Future
of
topic,
the.
just so y'all know.
Yeah, yeah,
We're not
yeah.
against capitalism, but where does it keep us stuck or small? And where does
Oh
it
yeah,
help?
absolutely. Oh, that is a future episode. That is a future
Okay?
episode. I can't
Yeah.
wait for that one. Yeah,
Oh, okay. So
yeah,
part of my coaching thing, y'all, when you guys are looking at, you identify the identity that isn't serving you. Also, if you want a bonus, how does it serve you and keep that? Because this is how we
absolutely.
grow. Like, go back to the part of yourself that, dude, I love that part of myself. She didn't blink twice. She didn't take shit. Okay.
Yeah,
And then how do you, lose what she did? She burned shit down. She was mean to people. You know what I mean? Like, do that honest assessment. Be like,
absolutely,
I am all the parts of myself. And as an alchemist, as someone who does my inner work, I'm the recipe. You know what I'm saying?
absolutely.
We're going to keep going.
Yeah, but this is it. We're gonna so if something in this conversation disrupted you, don't rush to fix it. Don't rush to fix it. Just notice where you may be still loyal to an older version of yourself.
I love that permission. Fixing, changing, just, yeah, makes the organism feel unsafe. And you're going to be met with a lot of resistance. So,
Yeah.
mm, thanks, y'all. Thank you,
All right.
everyone.
Thank
Have
you guys.
a
This
delicious
is
day.
Decode Disrupt, where insight meets interruption. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you.